What's up, everybody on YouTube? AJ Russ back here with another video, and today I'll be predicting my 2021-2022 NFL playoff predictions. Let's get it. Alright guys, so we're finally here. We finally made it past the NFL regular season of 2021-22. It's been a really good season. A lot of teams that we didn't expect to make the playoffs made it, such as the Bengals with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. There's been a lot of good action. That team in particular, and then with the Patriots having Mac Jones, and of course having Bill Belichick in that system. All those types of things. This season in general has been an amazing season on both ends, in the NFC and the AFC. Aaron Rodgers, of course, being dominant again. He's the MVP favorite again after winning it last year, so potential back-to-back MVP. Of course, we see Tom Brady in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're continuing their dominance and trying to repeat again. So there's just a lot going on, and I wanted to share with y'all my predictions for these playoffs this year. We're basically in the week of all the playoff matchups happening this Saturday and Sunday. So I wanted to predict some of the matchups and how I think is going to go throughout the playoffs. Not just for week one of the playoffs, but all the way leading up to the AFC Championship game, NFC Championship game, and then predicting who will be in the Super Bowl and then who will ultimately win the Super Bowl. I'm going to organize this by conference basically, so I'm going to hop into all the AFC matchups all the way leading up to the AFC Championship game and who will represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, and same thing with the NFC. I'll then talk about the matchups, who will win, I think, in my opinion, all the matchups going all the way to the NFC Championship game and then to the Super Bowl and seeing who will win that. So yeah, so with all that being said, let's go on and get into these playoff predictions, starting with the AFC. So we're going to get into the first playoff game that takes place this Saturday night against the Patriots and the Buffalo Bills, two divisional opponents who have split the season series this past year. So it's going to be interesting to see that. I heard on ESPN that it's going to be like below freezing, like at negative temperatures. So that's going to be a freezing cold game. I know earlier in the season when the Patriots visited the Buffalo Bills, they only passed the ball, I think maybe one or three times, something like that, and they just ran the ball the whole game, and they ended up beating the Bills. But I don't know, it's gonna be a tough game. I can't imagine playing football in that weather, just below freezing. Hey, oh my gosh, that's nothing to be playing with for sure. But getting into the football side of things, I mean, we all know that the Bills, they have Josh Allen, for sure the better quarterback out of the two, and Mac Jones. Of course, Mac Jones, he's a rookie. He's played really good, arguably the offensive rookie of the year out of him and Jamar Chase probably, but a great matchup for sure. But I think Josh Allen, of course, he's a superior quarterback. He has Stephon Diggs, Cole Beasley, a lot of talent with him. So I mean, I think, and the Bills defense is pretty solid as well. So of course they have a fair shot with them. They're going against the Patriots, so you can never count Belichick out. You know, he's the GOAT coach. I mean, we've seen that has 6 rings, and he was able to take this team that was 7-9 last year in the 2020 season to making the playoffs this year, almost winning the division. So we'll see what happens there. Of course, the Patriots, they have a solid defense, have a lot of grit. Of course, I mean, it's a Belichick and the Patriot way, so we'll see how that goes. And I'm talking about all this stuff, but I mean, in my opinion, I think the Bills will probably take this, but it's not gonna be easy. Like I said, it's gonna the weather is gonna be so tough. I think it's gonna be a very low scoring game. If I had to put a score on it, I'd probably put maybe 16-10, 16-13, something like that, with the Bills taking it out. I don't think it's gonna be a high scoring game because, like I said, it's gonna be below freezing. It's going to be hard to warm up for them, so I don't know. But for sure, I think I have the Bills winning that particular matchup. But let's go on and get into the next AFC matchup. Now we're going to get into the actual first playoff game. So my bad, I accidentally said that the Bills and Patriots were the first game. That's the Saturday night game. The Saturday evening, afternoon game is actually going to take place against the Bengals and the Raiders. And I think this is going to be a really good game. Like I mentioned earlier, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, all those people on the Bengals, all those players, their team has been exciting to watch. They're a big play team. They're very explosive, very young, so I think they could be dangerous potentially. You never know what they could be capable of in the playoffs. And same thing with the Raiders. They have a really tough team, of course, going through all that stuff that they went through. Of course, firing John Gruden earlier this year, then dealing with Henry Ruggs off the field, just a lot of things, but they were able to come together. Derek Carr, he's always been a solid, good quarterback, so just seeing him. Josh Jacobs, of course, he's a really good running back. They got Hunter Renfrow, he's really good, a nice receiver. He looks so not like a superstar receiver, but he's really tough. So I think the Raiders, they have a good team too, and the Bengals are really good. So it's a tough matchup, and for sure, it could go either way, just like the Patriots and Bills, in my opinion. And me picking the score, I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I don't think it's gonna be low scoring. I mean, of course, it's gonna be in Cincinnati, but I think it could probably be something like 34-28, 34-31, some type of game like that. And I think the Bengals are going to win, in my opinion. I just think that Joe Burrow, he's making a real case for being a top 5 QB right now. I mean, it's a lot of talented superstar quarterbacks in the league right now for sure. 32 great quarterbacks. Well, there's a lot of great quarterbacks. I mean, it's levels, you know, superstars, stars, you know, and stuff like that. But Joe Burrow, he is really making the case in his second season for being close to a superstar right now. So I think the Bengals are going to potentially make the second round, in my opinion, and I think they're going to take the slight edge over the Las Vegas Raiders. But in my opinion, the Raiders, they wouldn't have anything to be ashamed of for that, because with all the adversity they dealt with this season, I mean, that would be successful, because I mean, they played against the Chargers last week, and that was a really good game, but that could have went either way as well. So yeah, for sure. But I have the Bengals coming out of that matchup. The final AFC game that's going to take place this week, of course, is going to be between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And honestly, I'm not going to be too long with this. I mean, shout out Big Ben in his last season. Of course, we saw that he willed the Pittsburgh Steelers into the playoffs, and of course the Indianapolis Colts, they missed a perfect golden opportunity to make the playoffs when they lost to the Jaguars, really opening the place for the Steelers to make the playoffs. So that was cool for them. Of course, seeing Big Ben, he's a legendary quarterback for sure, a first ballot Hall of Famer in the future. But with all that being said, we know he's gonna win this game. I'm just being real. I mean, if I'm wrong, y'all can comment on this video so much, but bro, I'm pretty positive the Chiefs will win this game. I mean, handily. They played a few weeks ago. I think it was either week 16 or week 15, and the Chiefs, I think they won like 36-10. So I mean, I think it's going to be something closer to that. But I mean, it's going to be a good game for sure. I mean, it's going to be a good game in terms of, you know, how Mike Tomlin, he's going to have his team ready. The Steelers ready to play for sure. And I think it's great because Mike Tomlin, he's an amazing coach. He hasn't had a losing season in his career as the Steelers head coach. He's been, 15 years, 14, 15 years he's been a coach of the Steelers. So definitely a good resume for him for sure. And I'm sure he'll be able to have his players play tough for him. But ultimately, I think they're outmatched playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, Patrick Mahomes being one of the best quarterbacks in the league, really the best probably, and then one of the best of all time potentially as he continues to play at this rate. And then all the weapons he has: Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Nicole Hardman, just so many talents, guys. So I think the Chiefs will for sure handily beat them. Their defense is pretty good as well. So yeah, for sure. And my score prediction, I don't think the Steelers defense hasn't been that good this year. So I think it's going to be something like I'll say like 42-21, something like that. Maybe like it'll be like blowout and early in the game, but I think like the Steelers may like score like a couple touchdowns at the end, something like that. But I think it's gonna be like 42-21, something like that. That then takes us into the second round of the AFC playoffs, and then it'll be the Bengals against the Bills, and then it'll be the Titans, who are the first seed, who will have, of course, that first round playoff bye, and the Titans will play against the Chiefs. That'll be a really good game, the Titans and Chiefs for sure. But getting into the Bengals and the Bills, I think that the Bills will win this game for sure. Like I said, the Bengals, they're a really good team, good young and upcoming team. But what's it called? The Bills, they made the AFC Championship game last year against the Chiefs. So I think that they're on the vengeance for sure. Josh Allen, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, like I said earlier. So I mean, really not gonna talk too much about that. I really think the Bills will beat the Bengals if this ends up being the case scenario going into the second round, and I think they'll end up going to that AFC Championship again for the second time in a row after beating the Patriots in the first round and then potentially the Bengals in the second round. So I think for sure the Bills will win that. And then getting into the Titans and the Chiefs game, this is really tough. It's tougher than a lot of people think. A lot of people may say the Chiefs, of course, because you know they're in the playoffs, all their experience. But the Titans are returning Derrick Henry, who is for sure, when healthy, the absolute best running back in the league. He only played like 8 games, I think, like that, 6 to 8 games, something like that, before he had his foot injury, and he almost had 1,000 yards in that amount of games. Like, he's been the offensive player of the year 2 years in a row. So I just think, I don't know, I think it's going to be tough for sure for any defense that has to play against the Titans because of Derrick Henry. And then of course they have Julio Jones, AJ Brown, Ryan Tannehill, who's really a above average solid quarterback for sure, and their defense is solid as well. So that game really could go either way. Of course, we're not here for me just to say what could go either way. We're here to make some predictions. So, man, it's tough. It's very tough because I think the Titans could go to the next round, but I just can't bet it. Right now, I can't bet against the Chiefs. I mean, I know they're mad because they lost to Tom Brady and the Bucs last year in the Super Bowl very handily as well. So I think this matchup between potentially the Titans and the Chiefs will go the Chiefs' way. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I think it'll be like a nail-biter for sure. I predict probably like something like... I probably predict something like 35, 38, something like that. Something like that for sure. I think it'll be a really, really good game. One of those games you want to watch fully from start to finish for sure. So, yeah, I think it'll end up being the Bills and the Chiefs for another rematch of the AFC Championship game. This then takes us to the AFC Championship game, and of course against the Bills and against the Chiefs, again, rematch, and whoa, man, it's going to be tough. I think this is going to be a good game, of course, like last year in ways. It's really hard for me to bet against the Chiefs again. I could look like a fool, of course, with all these matches, like in the first round. I could be dead wrong about all of them, but I mean, like I said, it's predictions for sure. And it's hard for me to pick against the Chiefs, man. It really is, because, like, we know how really good they are. Like, they remind me of the Warriors, just the way how they can be truly devastating to teams at times. So I think for sure, again, 2 years in a row between the Bills and the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are going to win the AFC again for a third year in a row. Of course, they won the Super Bowl in 2020. I think that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to go to the Super Bowl again this year in 2022 and represent the AFC. So that covers the AFC all the way into the Super Bowl. I have the Chiefs coming out of the AFC, of course, representing them. But now we're getting to the NFC, and the first matchup I want to talk about is between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that'll be the first game on Sunday, taking place at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And I think for sure that the Eagles they've had a great season, surprising a lot of people, including myself. A lot of people were skeptical about Jalen Hurts being a quarterback after trading Carson Wentz, and they talking about maybe potentially trading for a quarterback in the future like Deshaun Watson if all those off-the-field troubles went through. But I think, in my opinion, Jalen Hurts, he is the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. He should be their long-term plan, in my opinion, because he's proved it. He's really good. Has Devontae Smith, just a lot of good solid pieces with him in Philadelphia. So I think they're a good team, and they're very tough as well. I think they won't go down without a fight for sure against the Buccaneers, but we know they're going against the Buccaneers and Tom Brady, and we know he's a GOAT for sure. So they're definitely not losing the first round, in my opinion. So I think that it'll probably be like a 2-3 score possession. I think the Buccaneers probably win something like 35-24 or something like that, in that range. I don't think it'll be too much of a blowout, but I think that the Tampa Bay will for sure separate themselves, and of course they'll be going into the second round, because I know for sure not to bet against Tom Brady. The next matchup in the NFC will take place against between the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers, and I feel like this is going to be a really good game, arguably the best and like most entertaining game of the first round potentially this week. It's really good. The 49ers, they are really good. They made the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and they have so many freaking weapons. They have Deebo Samuel, who is, oh my gosh, hey, he has been super tough this year, guys. Like, man, hey. Hey, the 49ers are definitely a tough team, and their defense, of course, is very stout. They got Bosa on the defensive line, and they just got a lot of good players defensively, and I think there's something to be reckoned with for sure. I mean, we know Jimmy G, he's a very solid quarterback. A lot of people are talking about him getting traded this offseason potentially, you know, because they, of course, drafted Trey Lance last year in the draft. So we'll see about that. But for sure, I think the 49ers are really good. But let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. And I think the Dallas Cowboys, they receive a lot of flack. I mean, of course, there's always this thing about, you know, people talking about Cowboys fans and all that stuff. And, you know, like Stephen A. Smith on ESPN saying, well, what can go wrong will go wrong. So, yeah, but but I mean, I don't know. Their defense is really good. Like, no one can deny that. They got Micah Parsons, who's for sure by far defensive rookie of the year, maybe even arguably defensive player of the year. And then they got Randy Gregory, they got DeMarcus Lawrence, and of course Trayvon Diggs, the interceptions leader in the defensively in the NFL. So their defense has definitely improved with Dan Quinn being a defensive coordinator, and their offense, we know what they're capable of for sure. Earlier in the season, when they went on like a 6-game win streak, they were really dominant force. In some games they've been slacking off, of course. Sometimes Dak has had some off games, but recently in the past few games he's picked it up. So we'll see about that. I mean, I think if the Dallas offense and defense are working on all cylinders, I think it's tough for anyone in the league to beat them. So yeah, and the 49ers, they're really good as well. Like, props to them. In my opinion, this game really could go both ways, but I think in my opinion the Cowboys are definitely going to win. I think it's going to be close though, for sure. Like, it's going to be a no-biter. Like I said, this potentially will be the best game. I think the game will probably end up being like around I'll say probably like around 37-34, something like that. Like a really close game. It could be decided by a field goal, by a touchdown, by a turnover, or something like that for sure. So I have the Dallas Cowboys going into the second round. The last matchup for the NFC in the first round will then take place on Monday night against the LA Rams and the Arizona Cardinals, two divisional opponents, just like the Bills and Patriots on the AFC side. The Rams and the Cardinals, they're divisional rivals, so that's going to be a really good game. Of course, we know the LA Rams, they have a tough defense. They have Aaron Donald, of course. They have Jalen Ramsey, who's really tough as well, and they just have a lot of good pieces. Of course, they traded for Von Miller as well from the Broncos, so their defense is really tough. I think that their defense has been really good since they went to the Super Bowl in 2019 when they played against the Patriots. They've been good for years for sure. And adding Von Miller really opens up another dimension for them, so I think their defense is fine. I think think Matthew Stafford, he's just going to have to come in and not do too much. He's really good, though. He's a good quarterback for sure. I think in the past few games, though, he's had like 7 interceptions, so they definitely got to get that problem out of whack, because they traded for Matthew Stafford for a reason. Jared Goff wasn't cutting it, and they wanted to make a switch to improve their quarterback play, so we'll see about that. I know they're returning Cam Akers, who tore his Achilles like in July or something like that, and it's freaking January, he's already back. That's insane. But they're returning Cam Akers as well, so they have a really good team for sure. The Rams, I mean, they really, they could make the Super Bowl as well, but they could also lose in the first round. There's really no in between to me. And then the Cardinals, of course, they finally made the playoffs this year. They last year they collapsed kind of in the last month of December, but this year they're in the playoffs. Of course, they had the best record in the season for a while, but then they ended up losing a few games. But hey, that guy Kyler Murray, he is very, very tough. Really good quarterback, short but tough, super athletic, super quick. So I think their offense is really something to be reckoned with for sure. And then DeAndre Hopkins is supposed to be returning, and then J.J. Watt has been removed from injury reserve, so he could potentially play in this game as well. So there's a lot of moving pieces in this game, and it's going to be tough to decide this one as well, but it's going to be a really good game, of course, on ESPN. So if I have to choose, I think the Rams are going to win for sure, just because they have too much to prove. Like, I think that if they lose in the first round, that's going to be really tough. Like, it's going to be like, why you traded for Matthew Stafford just to lose in the first round again? So I think for sure they'll make the second round, and I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be something like around I think it'll be like around 28-24, something like that. These predictions are very fluid, like in terms of the scores, but I think just the premise of who I'm picking is very accurate. So I think the Rams will for sure win this matchup. Now we're getting into the second round of the NFC playoffs, and this game will take place against the between the Green Bay Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as I predicted them beating the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, the Green Bay Packers, they have the first seed, and it's gonna be super cold at Lambeau Field. Of course, it's been talked about all season how no one wants to go in Lambeau Field playing in that cold weather in Wisconsin, but hey, they got the Buccaneers, they got Tom Brady, so I think it'll be similar to last year in terms of how they'll be prepared for the moment. Of course, we all know that the Buccaneers are missing some pieces, of course, losing Antonio Brown because of that stuff that happened. That's all that needs to be said. But yeah, and they'll be returning Leonard Fournette. Of course, I saw that. Mike Evans is getting more healthier. Of course, Gronky's doing his thing. So we'll see how that goes. I think that this game is going to be really good. It's a rematch of the NFC Championship game last year between the Packers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But in my opinion, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to go the same. In my opinion, I think that this is Aaron Rodgers. This is his time right now. Like, he has to win. Like, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, potentially the most talented of all time. We know that Tom Brady's to go, but most talented for sure could go to Aaron Rodgers. But I think it's his time. He only has one championship ring that took place 11 years ago in 2011, which is insane. So I think that it's his time. Like, he really is set in and locked in on winning the Super Bowl. And in my opinion, I have the Packers winning this game, actually, and going to the NFC Championship game again, but it'll be against the Tampa Bay in the second round, going into the NFC Championship game this year. So I think that they'll win something like around maybe like 38-30, 38-31, something like that. I think it'll be close, but I think that the Packers will win, in my opinion. I don't know. I just really think that it's Aaron Rodgers' time to get a second ring. I don't know, but yeah, I for sure have the Packers winning this game. And of course the Buccaneers, of course they can win this game, because I mean they have Tom Brady. So I could like a fool picking the Packers, but hey, I think the Packers will win this game. So yeah. The other NFC playoff game that'll take place in the second round for my predictions will be the Rams and the Dallas Cowboys, and that's actually going to be a rematch of a playoff game that took place going in the second round in 2019, a few years ago. So I think that's going to be really good. The Rams, of course, won that matchup a few years ago, but I don't know. It could go either way again. I mean, these matchups are really good. So we're blessed to be football fans watching these great matchups. But in my opinion, I think that the Dallas Cowboys, they're just ready. Like, I mean, it's do or die for them. Like, we know that the whole media and everyone's going to give them flack if they lose in the first round, of course, and just regardless of how they do. So I think that, in my opinion, of course, the Rams defense is super tough. Like, they can get at any offense. And the Cowboys, they definitely have a good offensive line as long as everyone stays healthy, like Tyron Smith, of course, and Zach Martin. They have a lot of good offensive linemen there. And just, of course, like I said, their defense is really good, too very opportunistic. And their offense, of course, they have CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. Of course, Michael Gallup got hurt, praying for him for sure. But they also got Cedric Wilson, who's been stepping up for a lot for them lately. So that could be very, very dangerous. So in my opinion, I have the Dallas Cowboys winning this game. Another close game, of course, as well. I think it'll end up being something like, I'll say probably like 34 to like 38, something like that, 34-38, or something like 42-35, probably like a touchdown or a field goal in between to score. I think Dallas Cowboys for the first time in a long time will make the NFC Championship game, but I had them going against the Packers, and that's very devastating. But I think for sure that the Cowboys will for sure make the NFC Championship game potentially. Like I said, I could be dead wrong about all these predictions, but in my opinion, I think that it'll end up being Green Bay and the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC Championship game for this year. So yeah, that'll take us to the NFC Championship game against the Packers and the Cowboys. And I'm just going to tell you who I think is going to win this game. I think it's going to be the Packers in my opinion. And I mean, it's going to be tough weather. Of course, like I said, I could be dead wrong. The Cowboys could shock the world for sure, and I wouldn't be surprised by that because they're a really good team, of course. I mean, they can easily make the Super Bowl. The Cowboys can, the Packers can, the Bucks can, the Rams can. A lot of teams can, but I think this Cowboys and Green Bay game, it'll be very close as well. You're on Lambeau Field. I mean, we don't know what'll happen, of course. I think the Cowboys defense, like I said, they can get at the quarterback. They can get at Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers, he's so tough. He gets the ball out super fast. Like, he don't be playing. Like, he throws dots all around the field. Of course, they got Devontae Adams, Allen Lazard, a lot of pieces, and their defense is very good too. In Green Bay, so I don't know. I think the Green Bay will potentially win this game. And as a Cowboys fan, I'm not trying to be biased on this video for sure. Definitely unbiased. Who would I be to make a prediction video and be biased on this video? But for sure, I think the Green Bay Packers will win this game. And like I said, as a Cowboys fan, that pains me to say. But I mean, I'm just being real. Like I think, like I said before, I think it's Aaron Rodgers' time to get his second ring. If it's not, I mean, win. I mean, we have all that drama going on between, you know, him and the Green Bay Packers front office in the offseason, so we don't know if he'll even return this next year. But I think the Packers will probably make the Super Bowl this year. But of course, like I said, I could be wrong. The Cowboys could end up making it to this point and make the playoffs for the first time. I mean, not the playoffs, the Super Bowl in forever. So we'll see. But for sure, I have Green Bay winning this game in a very close game as well. I don't know about prediction-wise for the score, but I know it'll be very close in my opinion. So let's go on and talk about the Super Bowl. So now we're talking about Super Bowl 56, and according to my predictions, I have the Green Bay Packers against the Kansas City Chiefs. And hey, that's going to be a really good game if it happens. A lot of people have predicted that game to be a Super Bowl against Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, that's a beautiful matchup. That's a matchup made in heaven in my opinion. Just two really good teams going at it. And it's a tough prediction. That definitely can go either way. But like I said, if it's not now, then when. So I think I'm having the Packers win that game against the Chiefs. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think both defenses are very solid, but I think in this game, the quarterbacks on each side are just too devastating, and they have too many pieces of both sides. So I think it's going to be a really good, hopefully really good high-scoring Super Bowl. And I think it'll end up being something like 42-39, winning the Packers and Aaron Rodgers winning his second Super Bowl. And I don't know if he's going to come back next year, but I think that'll for sure happen. I mean, that's in my opinion. And let me know in the comments down below who you have making the Super Bowl and all these predictions and all the matchups. Of course, I could be wrong, but I mean, I'm just sharing with you some predictions. I feel like they're kind of accurate, but we'll see, of course, what happens. I appreciate y'all watching this video. Like I said, let me know in the comments down below what y'all think will happen in the playoffs this season. It's going to be a really, really good postseason. Looking forward to it for sure. So, yeah, and I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SwaggyRuss. Stay tuned for more sports videos, of course, like this, NFL, NBA, more stuff about pop culture like Marvel movies, Marvel TV shows, all types of things like that, cooking videos, all things like that. So I appreciate y'all watching. Stay blessed, take it easy, and know that y'all can do anything.